Aren't we supposed to be somewhere?
This episode of iFanboy is brought to you by GoDaddy.com and Squarespace.com.
Welcome to iFanboy, the comic book discussion show. My name is Conor. I'm here with...
I'm Ron.
And I am Josh. Conventions. If you know anything about what's going on, you know that we are probably at this moment, even though we're talking to you here, in San Diego, the granddaddy, the big show.
Right now we are there.
Right now we're here.
Yeah.
But we're also there.
Amazing how that works.
But we're here now, but then we're there when we were before.
Don't think about it.
I love Spaceballs.
That's
all I know.
So San Diego Comicon is like kind of the apex of the con season, the annual comic convention season.
It's the World Series of conventions.
Exactly.
It's funny because I feel like in recent years, we say that a lot, by the way, but I feel like conventions have become more and more important to how people perceive the comic book industry. It's where they go to meet people. All of the announcements are built around it.
And there really, we talk about the con season, there really is a arc of the season, because what you've got is there's a bunch of shows that happen in the winter and the early spring, and then there's some that sprinkle into the spring and the summer, then San Diego, and then some come down into the fall.
But it's different. So, it used to be that it would start and then in the beginning of the year and then end in San Diego.
Right, but now
it goes all year.
Baltimore and is in September,
and then
October.
New York Con, the next one's going to be at the end of the year. So now it's con season now is
it's all year.
Months of the year.
The other thing is, and this is interesting, is that I guess probably with the success of the movies and things like that, every convention that we go to is exponentially bigger than when we used to go to them.
Media frenzy.
Now, so like people aren't necessarily buying a lot more comic books, but either more people are going to the shows who don't read, or the people who read are going to more shows, because it's such a neat and communal experience. It's unlike anything else, and there's no other. I don't want to say fandom, but it's such a thing that's germane to comic books,
and it's truly probably right now at the apex of it as a comic book experience. If you're a comic book fan, and whether you can travel to a convention or more likely there's one within driving distance of you somewhere around the country, if you really like comics, going to a convention is something that if you haven't done yet, we strongly recommend, both for the shopping experience as well as just the general, getting to meet the people who make the comics and things like that. So
for me, a long time ago when I first went to San Diego Comic-Con, because I lived in Los Angeles, and I drove down there in 2000, like walking out of that really cemented my love for this medium. Yeah. Like really being there in that group of, and it was before it was like completely nuts, but I was still blown away. And I've never lost that feeling from that time. That really pushed me over the edge of, man, what a great, sort of thing to be into.
If you think about it, when do you get to revel in it like that?
Exactly.
You go to the comic store on Wednesday, maybe you hang out for an hour or two, you go home and read your books. A lot of people do that alone.
Right.
They don't have friends who read comics, but you go to a convention and everyone in that room loves as much as you do.
Even at the smallest convention, it's hundreds to thousands of people who are celebrating comics with you. And you
get to geek out, and you get to see all the stuff you don't get to see normally. Old comics you'd never see. Action Comics #1, we've seen a copy of, never, at a convention.
Just be there with it.
Yeah. And you just get to immerse yourself in the love for it, which if you're just buying your books every week and reading by yourself, you don't really connect. I mean, you said it before. San Diego or any con, you go there energized, and you come out energized.
Well, except for the flu
and broken.
Or whatever.
A little broken at the end. But
so we get a lot of questions, though, from people who haven't gone to cons, and they want to know, what is it like? What do I do? What is the etiquette like?
How do I pick one? This is probably the most important first question.
Yeah.
Which con should I go to? There are a lot of conventions now. There are more than when we started.
We're not even going to mention all of them, because there's so many of them.
Can we mention some of them?
Well, a couple, but not all of them.
You mentioned 2.
No. Only
if
2.
You're good, you get a third.
We've already mentioned San Diego.
New York Con. I'm going to go geographically. New York Con, Baltimore Con.
Philly.
It's Wizard. I don't want to cut the Wizard ones. Wizard in Philly. Who knows?
This episode's not sponsored by Wizard.
Who knows if it'll be there next year? Oh, there is one in Philly. HeroesCon, Dragon Con in Atlanta. Yep. Wizard World Chicago. The new E2C2 in Chicago. Windy City Con in Chicago. Emerald City.
Mid-Ohio Con. Motor City Con.
Motor City.
There's a Kansas City or St. Louis.
Wasn't there a Dallas one?
Yes.
Wizard World Dallas.
There's a Wizard World Dallas. Yeah, I think that's
Texas.
Yeah.
I think that's correct.
Emerald City in Seattle. WonderCon and Ape in San Francisco. and San Diego.
And there's the San Jose Con.
San Jose,
Baltimore.
yeah, SuperCon.
It was in L.A. It wasn't LA.
LA's dead.
Right.
It was World LA,
Yeah. So there are a lot of conventions.
In addition to even that, there's even smaller, like regional conventions.
Ithacon.
There's one in Maine,
When we were in
one
college.
in Boston.
There's one in Ithaca called Ithacon. Roger Stern appears there every year.
He lives there.
I know.
So the question is sort of what is it you're looking for in a show?
Right.
If you want to, I mean, San Diego seems like an obvious answer, but it is an experience.
Intimidating. Yeah.
It is.
It's also unlike every other one, too.
It really is. New York's close. It's getting there. But it's not. It's still like a third.
New York will never be there because they don't have the size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess if you want the full out like 4 or 5 day experience of being overblown by all these media entities in addition to comics, it's San Diego's hard to beat.
I've got the analogy.
Yes.
If you live in the New York metro area or any city, whatever, there's often like an amusement park near you. We can go to Great Adventure, or if you're in Ohio, you can go to Kings Island and all this kind of stuff. That's like a day. Go to Hershey Park in Pennsylvania. Go to Magic Mountain in LA. That's like a day trip. You drive for a couple hours, you go to the amusement park, you come back home. San Diego is like going to Disney World for a week.
Yeah.
It's like a destination.
Yeah.
It's everything that the amusement park that you have at home times 10. Magnified. So if you want to make a comic vacation, San Diego is definitely the way to go. But if you just want to go to a convention, you look at one that you can drive to, and that's
Well, look at the way that San Diego works, because everybody goes there. It used to be, it probably is to a certain extent, a place where a lot of business get done. That was the point of it, and it's turned into a fan event a lot more. So, when I first started going around 2000, you can meet people and get sketches and get signatures and things like that. Now you're going to wait in a line for almost everybody.
What was last year? Was almost 300,000 people were at the convention?
150.
No, they said it was over 200,000 people last year.
Registered. In a city maybe, but registered at the con was 150,000.
It was a shitload.
Yeah.
And everybody you want to see is going to be there, so that's the good thing. But you're sort of, let's say, your personal time with people and your ability to connect, it becomes a lot more difficult because it is a mass of humanity in the biggest sense. For my money, I think that you do have to go to it once. You absolutely have to, like, if you're really into the comics, it's such an experience. Yeah. But if you want something where you can meet more creators and sort of just have a little more time to talk to people and get to know people. Time. Yeah, more intimate. Yeah. One of sort of the mid-level ones, HeroesCon had a lot of talent that goes to it, or Emerald City or WonderCon. They're much more laid back. I just like
because a big part of it with San Diego, as we've talked about, is that there are movies, TV, video games. It's become a real media event.
Yes.
And whereas the mid-level conventions and small conventions have some of that there, like WonderCon's had some more stuff, but it's still primarily about the comics.
Well, when we go to WonderCon, we've made comments along the lines of, "Hey, look, this show's about comics," because San Diego has like on one side of the floor you will find that it's movie studios. And booths and things like that, and a lot of people go for that stuff, which is all well and good, but it can be, it takes a big part of it.
Yeah. There's also a lot of manga there as opposed to most of the other cons are strictly American
it's
comics.
It's a pop culture festival, really, for the most part.
The statues and the toys and the collectibles and stuff. You got to go once in your life.
San Diego's more. It's not about meeting. It's too big to meet creators and things like that at this point. It's more about the spectacle. It's about 4 days of a sensory overload, and then it's also about the social activity, which is part of San Diego. Is everybody's staying in this small area, so after the con, you hit the social circuit. Yeah. And that's as much about the con as anything else. Whereas the other cons, it's not really like that. You go to the con.
Yeah, you go.
And then you go home.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about a little bit what goes on at the cons, what you can expect, stuff you can do right after the break.
iFanboy is brought to you by GoDaddy.com. Web hosting from GoDaddy includes 99.9% uptime, 24/7 support, and free access to Hosting Connection, the place to install over 30 free applications sure to help you get the most from your hosting plan and website. If you want to make an impact online, GoDaddy.com has what you need. .com names starting as low as $1.99, plus world-class hosting, fast and easy website builders, and much more. Make sure to check out revision3.com/GoDaddy for all of iFanboy's GoDaddy deals and codes. Thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this episode. Squarespace is a publishing system for anyone looking to build a blog, portfolio, or any kind of website. Powering large businesses to blogs, Squarespace gives everyone the opportunity to build pages that are just as powerful and flexible as those of the big dogs, with no coding experience necessary. You can use Squarespace's tools to build all sorts of websites that do whatever it is you need doing. Check out jaflanagan.com, where I post stuff about my comic book work and anything else I feel like writing about. And it's all Squarespace. Go to squarespace.com to find out more and register for a free trial. And make sure to use the coupon code iFanboy for a discount.
We're going way deep into the convention. Too deep, if you ask me.
down, deeper into the con.
What can you find at a convention? Well, you probably know the normal stuff. There's panels. Panels.
Well, I guess it's kind of to before the panels. Like the main focus of the convention is the con floor.
Sure.
And that started off being in the history of convention. That started off being as like the dealer room, and because these conventions were originally when they started were for two business things. They were for people to come to the publishers to see what they're coming to like retailers, and then retailers started coming to conventions to sell their stuff because there was such a focused thing. So on the con floor, that's where you can find retailers with back issues and toy vendors and stuff like that. But as well, there are companies like Marvel and DC and Dark Horse who set up booths to show you what they've got coming
They're just
out.
marketing all of the stuff they have.
So the center of attention is the con floor. When you walk in, that's the big room with all the booths and the lights. And pretty much when you've got any downtime, you're wandering the con floor.
Which you could do endlessly. Like in San Diego, you could literally wander the con floor for 4 days and not feel like you did it.
San Diego tip. Don't walk the con floor. If you know where you're going, go outside of the con floor and walk outside because it's so packed.
I thought you were going to say get a rascal.
Yeah, or get a rascal. Yeah,
Don't get a rascal.
No, but it's at the point now where the con floor is so wide and you know that, okay, well, Artist Alley's down here and I'm in the Marvel booth. I'm cutting across the crowd is impossible. Go outside, walk down, then go back in. That's what I do. So, but yeah, so there's the con floor. But then to pull people out of the con floor, they often have panels.
Well, and panels almost sounds really boring.
But they can be great.
They can be fantastic, and they sort of exist, again, all up and down the spectrum. In San Diego on a Friday or a Saturday, mostly Saturdays become the movie day. So if you're into, you want to see upcoming stuff, things that no one has seen before, and you want to see
see cast members talking about the movie and stuff like that. Yeah.
Pretty much, a lot of people just go and they camp out there, and that's your day. I mean, if you're going to do that, that's what you're going to do. At the same time, though, if you're interested in, Robert Kirkman, the chances are there'll be a spotlight on Robert Kirkman, and you'll go. It'll be an hour and a half, and he'll talk about some of his, and people will interact, and you'll go back and forth.
The major publishers like Marvel and DC will do kind of like State of the Union kind of panels about their different lines. There'll be like a X-Men panel, there'll be a Superman panel, there'll be a Batman panel.
That's where they make all the announcements for what's coming, or pseudo announcements.
And typically, what they do is that they'll have the creators there, and they'll either make the announcements at the panel, or they'll go through what's going on and try to highlight each other. Then often they open it up to questions because they like to interact with you just as much,
or not,
or not. No. But and like if you go to the DC Nation panel, pretty much it's the DO answering questions the entire time, and then they sprinkle announcements throughout that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's your chance. I mean, you're sitting at home reading Justice League of America, and you want to know why it sucks so bad. This is your opportunity to ask the executive editor of DC Comics why won't you let people.
It's your opportunity to ask a question that won't be answered.
Right, exactly.
Don't ask that question.
Right.
And people do. I mean, this is actually a good point, too.
Panel etiquette?
We've been to a lot of panels.
We've seen a lot of
things. We've talked to a lot of creators who've had to deal with panels. Yeah. Here's a tip. Don't ask what's going to happen. Don't go, hey, what's going to happen at the end of Black?
How's that going to end? Yeah.
That's a good half the questions that are asked at any given panel.
You don't want to,
because they're always.
Hey, they're not gonna tell you what's gonna happen.
They're not gonna answer the same way.
They're not gonna answer. They're gonna say, read the book, you'll find out.
Yep.
Why would they tell you that? Because then they want you to buy the book to find out.
Right.
They're not gonna answer these questions, and we've talked to them, and they are as exasperated as we are about it.
Don't. If you've got a joke, like if you've got a thing that you want to go up and say
in your head for a year,
why don't you test it on an audience first? Because a lot of times a dude will come up and he'll be ready to talk.
Just as Gandalf.
Yeah, and he'll say something, and he's just met with the most morbid silence on the face of the earth, so it's probably not as funny.
And one thing to understand also is that a lot of these writers and comic guys, they like to have a good laugh too, and they might have it at your expense. So, and not to get too insulted, to know that it's all part of the fun, but they're going to make jokes based off what you say as well. And
Dan DiDio is going to make fun of everybody in the audience as long as possible. For example, Joe Quesada pretty much answers everything, but he doesn't take shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's pretty straight. Yeah, pretty straight. And if he doesn't like what you're asking or whatever, he'll disagree with you. Which is sometimes for us as watchers, those are my favorite moments when it gets really intense. Like there was a couple of years ago when Marvel was going through some restructuring, and they actually didn't have a booth in San Diego.
Yep.
Or they had just tables.
They had a regular booth-sized table.
And we're at the Cup of Joe panel or whatever it was, and somebody gets up there and goes, I own stock in Marvel, and as a stockholder, I'm extremely disappointed there's no booth. And Quesada was just like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it was just like, but this guy was angry. It was, and then the whole room went, ooh, So.
But, like, what's really cool about stuff like that is that Quesada, for example, is a guy who's really good at, he will take that question. Like, he will answer the stuff. He may not give you the answer you want, But like, you can ask him anything you want. I've seen him do it, and he goes all through that.
Yeah.
Which
He doesn't
cool.
shy away, which is good.
And some of the creators are very animated. Like a few years ago, with the whole Judd Winnick, Phil Jimenez argument with the guy. Was when the Justice League cartoon came out, and somebody raised their hand asking why was Hawkgirl and Jon Stewart, the Green Lantern, in it, and it became a very kind of gender race question.
Yeah.
And Judd Winnick and Phil Jimenez are two guys who don't take any shit as far as that's concerned, and there was like an argument with the guy in the audience, and it was fascinating to watch. It was.
But those moments are so rare.
Yeah.
But they're still fantastic.
when
Yeah,
it
but
happened,
the problem is you have to sit through endless hours of drudgery to get to those points.
True.
And I haven't been to a panel, and at least I didn't go to a single one in the last round of cons. I mean, I just can't sit through the endless questions of what's going to happen with this character.
I can't deal with
an hour and a half.
announcements that don't have any effect on my life.
Yeah.
Or
that are
like,
6 months down the
Books
road.
that are never
Yeah.
coming out. Remember Brave and the Bold?
Or books that you don't care about until you see them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the thing is, there's always keywords that they know that they can say to certain members of the audience which will provoke a reaction. Like, they'll be like, remember before Guardians of the Galaxy came out, they were like, and Rocket Raccoon. And I was like, and everyone was, oh. And I was,
But now,
it's true, but I didn't get excited about it then because I didn't, that's not how I work.
but if this was 5 years later, you would be like, ooh, Rocket Raccoon, I like that.
It's true.
character.
It's true.
You
It's
just
true.
didn't have the history
There
there.
are a whole lot of different types of fans they have to cater to, and I am aware of that. Okay, so there's some panel stuff. There's like,
You just be interesting if you're going to ask a question. That's all we ask and they ask and everyone asks.
In all the years, I've never asked a question. I've never felt as if I had something worthy to add.
I
to the
never did
conversation.
at a convention.
Yeah,
no.
no.
I mean,
I have
we
ducked
started
out of
the
a
show.
panel 10 minutes into it because, all right, I see where this is going.
Yeah, and we just sound like
Sit in the back.
So what you're gonna want to do is every
sound like jaded.
every
convention
con
guys.
They
has
are jaded.
every con has a program guide, and they list all the panels and the times. So what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to plan whether you're at San Diego
That's
or
if
at
you're Ron.
Well, no, you want to
He
look
goes
to
through a highlighter.
you want to look to see what is when and to plan your day around it,
Right.
because those are kind of your tentpole events to go to. You've got to be somewhere. You got to
What
plan
is-
to get across the con center to get there.
What
And
is
get
true in
seats.
San Diego, there's not a lot of dropping in on panels anymore. You have to know where you're going. That's
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
You have to get there early.
in the
Sometimes they
panels.
close them, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So then down on the floor, you've got a lot of signings and sketches and things like that happen. We did a show about sketches a while back.
A long time ago.
But one of the really cool things about it is you do get to meet people whose work you respect. And if you have any creative aspirations, it's a fantastic way to sort of connect with other artists and things like that.
You can go to the DC booth or the Marvel booth or the Dark Horse booth or the Image booth, and they'll be there. The creators will be there, and there'll be lines, stuff like that. But take the time to go find Artist Alley at whatever con you are, because and wander that, because you'll either stumble upon somebody you've never heard of whose stuff you really like, or you'll find that artist who you didn't even know was at the con, who's sitting there by themselves with no line, and you go talk to them.
And it's really cool when you get to talk to somebody and you realize that they love comics just like you do. Like, I remember the first time we ever talked to Greg Rucka, like, for some reason I had been incredibly intimidated, but like,
He's scary.
I don't know why.
but he's a dude who like loves comics.
Yeah.
And you can tell like he takes it seriously, but not too seriously, and like he'll talk about the work that he's doing, and it's fascinating.
From the art standpoint, if you want sketches or if you want commissions or whatever, get there first.
Day one.
Day
Yeah,
one,
make that
go
your
right
thing.
to the artist you want. You should be prepared. Most are charging these days because they make
Well, they
extra
all
money.
charge
They all
these
charge.
days.
That's because it's expensive to go to a con. They're
Yeah.
not jerks. They have to pay
So
their way.
pretty much $50 to about $100, depending on who the artist is.
if not more, depending on.
Yeah.
If it's
you
a big
could-
name.
Don't try to haggle with them. It's not
Yeah.
really. It's kind of, like some people, I've gotten that question, like, well, could I talk him down? It's like, well, no. It's
No.
like he's kind of like this is what the deal is.
They've broken down what
Yeah.
they need to charge in order to make their money back.
Exactly. So if you really, really want that Jim Chung sketch or that Scotty Young sketch, you go find them as soon as you get there on the first day. And
They,
talk
they
to
get
them.
booked up.
They
the
get
first,
booked up.
First
Yeah.
couple hours of the show for the
Exactly.
It
weekend.
also really helps to have an idea about what you want.
Yeah.
Because usually
They need some
doing a
direction.
drawing, They need
Yeah.
something, and specifically if it's a obscure character or somebody they haven't done in a long time, you want to bring reference. I remember Paul, who writes for us, he got a sketch from Cliff Chang, and he wanted the original Golden Age Green Lantern. And Cliff was like, "That's great. Can you get me something so I can see what he looks like?" So he had to go buy something that had him.
By JSA.
Because people do not all have encyclopedic minds of all these things, and it's just a good thing to remember.
Just same rules of etiquette in life apply. Be nice. Like
Again,
being polite.
polite, yeah.
My 3-word maxim in almost everything: don't be creepy.
And yeah, exactly.
Just don't.
And the other thing is that applies also to walking around at San Diego, even at Wizard World Chicago. It can get crowded. Like, be patient.
Just remember you're in the way,
go. Yeah, let people go. Whenever and wherever I can, I defer to kids. like if there are kids there, let them in front of you. You know what I mean? Like
you don't want
so.
you don't want to ruin kids for comics.
It's like at the baseball game, let the kid have the foul ball.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, give it to the kid.
Plus, those kids don't want to be there.
No, they
Let's
don't.
be honest.
That's true.
They're being dragged there by
Probably
their
walking around
father
with
who's got a
Nintendo
Green
DS.
Lantern shirt on.
If you are the type who likes to make a costume, this is your mecca.
Yeah.
This is your time
You
to shine.
can wear that costume with pride, and no one's gonna make fun of you, and you're gonna be amongst your friends.
Someone might make fun of you,
Two of our
but-
friends spent the entire Saturday at WonderCon dressed up as Black Widow and Spider-Man, just taking pictures of people.
Yeah.
Just walking up and down the aisles. People want to take pictures of you.
You know,
it's a lot of fun.
A lot of people make the easy joke about the weirdos in costume.
Yeah.
And it's funny because to me, I always think, even people who don't necessarily look, let's say, good.
Right.
It's so cool because at the convention, like, they can just go be themselves and do what they want to do, and like that takes an enormous amount. I wouldn't
It's
do
accepting. It's totally
it.
accepting.
Yeah, they can just go ahead and do the thing, and so like it's easy to make the joke about the weirdo in the costume,
Right.
but the fact is, in real life, they're being completely self-confident about it. Like
They're accepting the love they have for the. They really love what they're doing.
yeah. So be nice to those people.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Some just general, more logistical tips. Wear comfortable shoes. You're going to be on your feet for 8 hours plus all day. Bring bottled water. Water as they're coming to get us.
Bring cash.
Don't use the ATM in the convention center. Never. Because there'll be lines because people don't realize they're going to buy stuff and then they need to go to it. Get a couple $100 before you go in.
That also works for strip clubs.
Fair enough. If you can, bring snacks. Those
Get quiet. I don't know.
Those
That's also the con experience.
those power bars and things like that are a great little snack on keep in a bag. Get a bag that you can carry that you can keep your sketchbook.
Don't bring
in
your
and
whole
stuff like that.
convention with you, your whole collection with you to the convention.
Yeah,
that.
don't. Yeah,
Chris
I mean,
Eastman.
yeah. You will see people with the luggage carts with short boxes.
Don't do that.
That's it. That's their thing, you know. But
If you can find a guy who's willing to sign every issue he's ever done, fine. But just think of all those poor people behind you who have to wait for, get a couple things and be nice.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is that it can be completely fun, completely rewarding. It can be completely tiring. You're gonna
It's tiring.
If you're looking to
Purell.
Yeah, definitely.
Sanitize.
But if you're looking to go to San Diego,
Next year?
For next year, start looking in January, February of 2010 for hotels.
Well, wait.
Try to find one that's within walking distance of the con center for any convention.
Register for the con right now.
Yeah.
Wherever it is that you're thinking of going and you want to make your plans, do it now and then
Go
Well, especially San Diego. I don't know if the other ones sell out. New York does, but I don't know if the other ones do. But
you're probably but check the website. Better safe than sorry. As early as you can. Book the hotel. Try to get in walking distance. Like in San Diego, that's key to what we do. We're 5 blocks away, and it's because you just want to drop your stuff and just collapse, And
you don't want to get out of the con after
and then
10
have to
hours
go
and
20
walk.
minutes. Like like that year we stayed at HeroesCon, we stayed a 20-minute drive away from the convention center. That sucked because you're away from it. You want to be in the thick of it. So
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. I mean, I look forward to it every year. It's one of my favorite
Save
things
your
we do.
pennies.
Yeah.
It
Do
ain't
you remember in the first year of San Diego, because it was before cell phones were prevalent, we had the little walkie-talkies?
Yeah.
Like that was the big advice was get those Motorola walkie-talkies so you can stay in contact. And like everyone had them.
Yes.
And
Where are you?
Bye, DC.
I'm behind you.
But
Hey, pick a meeting point.
yeah, pick a meeting point. But
We
now
always
cell phones help. Text messaging helps.
Yeah.
Stay in touch with your friends and stuff like that.
We used to
Forgot
use
about
DC
those.
as a meeting point, but now it's too crowded.
exactly.
Because they had the nice thick carpet.
DC does have the thick carpet. They're smart. Yeah.
But now those booths in San Diego, you can't even go in the DC booth. You can't go in the Marvel booth. It's over. That con's over.
Except it's just beginning.
So if you've got some cool con stories you want to share with us or tell us about your experience in San Diego, email us at contact@ifanboy.com.
Or you can leave us a voicemail at 888-FANBOYS, which is 326-2697. You can talk to us about your convention stuff.
I feel like there are a billion more things we could have gone over. So if you can think of them, put them in the thread. Go to ifanboy.com, comment on this show, listen to some of the podcasts we've got going on, read some of the written content, do that stuff. Maybe we'll write some more stuff in there that we knew. Yeah. But we are. I hope I'm enjoying myself right now.
I hope we're having fun.
I bet you the feet hurt.
I bet my feet do hurt.
That's a handsome shirt you got on.
You can get those at the store.com, blah, blah, blah.
ifanboy.com/store to buy the Power Responsibility shirt. That has nothing to do with any spiders.
I'm going to bleep that out.
What shirt?
The bleep shirt.
What?
I thought it was just a brilliant maxim.
All right. 3, 2.
I'll start.
always start counting.
I'll start.
All right. 3, 2.
Hey, welcome to iFanboy, the video podcast from the comic book discussion site, ifanboy.com. I'm going to do that again.
3,
In a while. And I also did that 5 miles too fast.
3, 2.
Just